let's have a listen now, finally, to David Livingstone this week. And this is actually from one of the interviews I did with him a few weeks ago, but some detail which we missed, because there's so much in there on the really, I think, brilliant work he's done on looking at these neo-Nazi groups, particularly this guy is very close to Putin, Alexander Dugin.
So right now there's like this proliferation of neo-Nazi organizations around the world. So the Azov Battalion is only one of many. There's what's called the Base, is it probably another core one. There's Atomwaffen Division. There's what is it called? United Action or something like that. There's a whole bunch of them, and a lot of them started out on this forum called Iron March. And the guy from Iron March is a guy who basically he's a Kazakh, I think, or Azerbaijani or something like that, some kind of Central Asian, close to the Kremlin. He claims to have been recruited by Dugin. Right? So that's how crazy it is. So this Azov Battalion is linked to all these other neo-Nazi groups that are linked to the Order of Nine Angles, who are participating in this forum founded by a follower of Dugin, and one of them, Azov Battalion, is fighting Dugin's orchestrated fiasco in Ukraine.
So David Livingstone is arguing there, Martin, that actually potentially this has been deliberately orchestrated, this fight. Some, people you might say more paranoid people would say actually there have been people setting this going both in Russia and in Ukraine, neo-Nazis.
Well, I think that's overdone. Dugin is a Russian nationalist and therefore quite hostile to the Azov Battalion. Now, you could say that there's some kind of mirror image there, but I would point out that the real problem for all right-wing political forces in the whole of Eastern Europe, which I know reasonably well, is that the right wing hates other right-wingers more than it hates the left. So that the right wing in Romania hate the right wing in Hungary, and they hate each other with a passion. And they're both right wing. They're both, against social liberalism and all the rest of it, but they hate each other. And that's the problem. I mean, that is a problem for the right.
But isn't there actually somewhere where the extreme right and extreme left also almost meet each other at the back? I mean, remember the whole analogy between Hitler and Stalin, parallel lives.
Yes, but I mean, that's to just say that they're all the same, and that's just not saying anything very much, is it?
Okay, so look, let's be absolutely... Well, I don't scoff, because what he's done in his article, Ukraine and the New Great Game, the CIA and neo-Nazis versus Putin's postmodern dictatorship, is to actually make these specific links, and it's all fully referenced. I mean, he does a terrific job with his references, and so, people can make their own mind up about David Livingstone's research, and his website is ordoabkeo.ca. Final clip tonight, though. He looks at what I think is one of the most concerning aspects of this, which is connected with, of course, the Middle East and Israel to Ukraine, which is these accelerationists, the people that want to accelerate the end of the world.
They've got a lot of organizations that coordinate, and I think the Bilderbergers is one of them. So just the fact that Antoine Pinay was simultaneously founder of Bilderberg and the Circle is a telling fact. So of course Peter Thiel has been a regular Bilderberger as well. So
can I just say about Kissinger, because he's been a massively important figure since the Second World War, really.
Absolutely.
And I just wonder what you make of him. I mean, he almost seems like a sort of certainly when I speak to influential, which I do occasionally, media people, they seem to think that they seem to worship the ground he walks on, and I can't figure out why.
He's probably the chief the Grand Master of Luciferianism on the planet. So what's interesting is that I talked about Raymond Abellio, who is the sort of the origin of the Priory of Zion mythos. He was a friend of Antoine Pinay, and so his protege was a guy named Jean Parvulescu, and Jean Parvulescu's protege is Alexander Dugin. Now, Alexander Dugin is considered they call him Putin's Rasputin, and he's really the key figure behind the alt-right. He's influenced everybody from Steve Bannon to Richard Spencer to, I mean, you name it. I talked at the beginning about accelerationism. So one of the main organizations is a group called the what do they call it? The Iron March, and the founder of it claims to have been initiated by Alexander Dugin, which is typical. Like, Dugin is basically the key character that binds most of the Fascist International today. He was a friend also with Claudio Muti, who was a friend of the founder of the Solar Temple, the Gladio Lake Solar Temple. So it just shows you that this entire network is very tightly knit. He's also friends with people like Gary Bolton, who is the main distributor for the Order of Nine Angles. And so, as I mentioned, so if you go back now to Peter Thiel, and this is what I discussed in my book, is that he is a proponent of a political philosophy called neo-reaction, and it was developed by Curtis Yarvin and this philosopher named Nick Land. And Nick Land has basically endorsed the writings of the Order of Nine Angles, and he developed what's called. He's the one who originally developed the concept of accelerationism, which is based on his study of postmodernism, and also influenced again by the Process Church. Because if you look at a lot of what their strategy is, like these modern neo-Nazi organizations, goes back to Charles Manson, who wanted to start a race war, because Charles Manson himself was influenced by the Process Church, and again the idea about accelerating during the end time. So they believe that by, particularly the Order of Nine Angles, they believe in infiltrating pretty much any group that they can, left, right, center, green, New Age, to try to influence them into contributing to the chaos. And I think, considering these connections, you can kind of see where's the Luciferian basis behind people like Alex Jones and David Icke.
David Livingstone there. The most bizarre thing about all of this is, for me anyway, is that this guy has invented accelerationism, apparently, Nick Land. He's an old school friend of mine. I went to school with him at Langley Park back in the 1970s, late 70s. Very friendly with him. He was a bit of a peculiar character, but nice guy, decent bloke. Although he was nicknamed Nick the Nazi, and he then swapped over the summer holidays at one point to becoming a communist. But certainly an approachable guy, and I'm going to see if I can get hold of him and see what he makes of all of this stuff that David Livingstone is saying, because I don't necessarily go along with everything David says, but it's certainly fascinating to look at the movements behind trying to get some sort of war going. Because I think, Martin, if you can just wind up on this, there are some people out there definitely trying to get World War III off the ground, aren't they? And they seem to be doing quite well.
Well, yes. I mean, and some people are going to get it off the ground simply because they can't manage their own job. Joe Biden, for example, or Boris Johnson.
But they're scripted, aren't they, these people? Yeah. They're low down. Surely they're not. They're just told what to say.
Yeah, but I mean, I still have a bit of what you might call realistic international relations analysis. It's too over-egged. There's too many complicating factors. Sometimes things are more simple than you think.
But also the US is in a very dangerous state, a dying empire.
Yeah, very dangerous indeed. They should be managing the relations with the rest of the world, but instead they seem determined to stick to their guns, which of course is our guns, which means we're all going to go down the drain.
Britain's got an important role here, because we're one of the only countries the Yanks will listen to.
Well, no, they don't listen to us. It's ridiculous.
At all?
No.
Well, this is over Syria, I believe. Vote in the Commons a few years ago.
No, well, that was actually because Cameron couldn't get support from Miliband.
So we better just do as we're told. Yeah. Time to sign off now. Thanks to our guest, Irish Republican Labour activist Martin Summers, and also to sound engineer Dave Bazenko. Do please send me interviews and story clips and tips via not the BCFM Politics Show page, where you'll find this podcast, full-length interviews, story link to comment page, and our email address. The website, thisweek.org.uk. Have a relaxing and enjoyable weekend. British summertime starts on Saturday night. Clocks go forward, giving an extra hour in the evenings, and I do believe the military fighting season begins. Do please join us for Not the BCFM Politics Show live stream at 5 o'clock next Friday. God bless, and don't let the banksters get you down.